Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for the County of Monterey's weekly press briefing. Today is March 27th. It's 12 noon. Not sure what time zones you all are in, but we're in the Pacific Standard Time here. And we thank you for being here. We have a very exciting news briefing ahead of us today. The first up, we have three topics. First up will be the Laguna Seca settlement agreement and information regarding the famed Laguna Seca Raceway. WeatherTech Laguna Seca Raceway, that is. And then followed by an update from County Parks, from our Chief of Parks, Bryan Flores, and then an update from the County Information Technology Department about a very important development taking place here at the County of Monterey. So we're going to start off with Laguna Seca, and I want to welcome Ross Merrill and Bruce Canepa from the Friends of Laguna Seca. And as we talk about the topic of the future of Laguna Seca and the WeatherTech Raceway, we want to look towards the future with optimism and with encouragement of what this means for the community. So with that, I would like to have Ross Merrill from Friends of Laguna Seca kick off the discussion about what this means for not only the County of Monterey, but the racing community and, of course, the economic impacts that Laguna Seca has in the County of Monterey. So welcome, Ross, and would love to hear from you.
Sure. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for the opportunity to speak today. Good afternoon, everybody. First and foremost, I just want to put a big thank you out there to the leadership of Monterey County for sticking with it through this process and finding a quick resolution to the litigation that we were facing. What this does is it clears the way for Friends of Laguna Seca, our local nonprofit, to do the good work on restoring and revitalizing Laguna Seca per our concession agreement, and really for the benefit of the entire community. So we look forward to our next steps and getting on with the program.
Great, thanks so much. And Bruce, you know, this is you're a car guy, you're a race aficionado, and this is a great news for the entire race industry, obviously. Why don't you expand on that a little bit for us?
Well, as most everybody knows, it's one of the best racetracks in the United States, if not the world. It's got an incredible history. It's an incredible facility in one of the best locations in the world in Monterey County. And this is an opportunity to preserve it and restore it and improve it for the next, 5 generations of people that get to use it. And you just won't find better racetracks than this even out in the future. Probably it's different today what's built. They don't have the properties to build these kind of tracks. So it's we're really thankful we get to step into this position with the county and preserve this for the future.
Great. And so there are a number of events planned that are on this calendar for 2024. And, what is the status of the events? I think it's safe to say that all these events are going to happen, but why don't you talk about that a little bit and the type of economic activity this brings to our region?
I can start on that. So the events will remain pretty much the same as they have been for quite some time. We have an IMSA race, we have a motorcycle race, we have a Trans Am race, we have IndyCar, and of course we have really the largest event of the year is Monterey Car Week with the Historics, and we kind of see that's really the future of the track for a long time. There's other smaller events like Ferrari Challenge and things like that come, not every year but regularly. But really there's there's plenty of car activity there because it's a place everybody wants to come to. Separate of that, there's other events. There's Sea Otter Classic and all kinds of other uses for the track that are non-car related. But again, it's all based on, what a great location to come to do anything.
Great. And Ross, since you're a Salina native and you have a lot of history here, Laguna Seca has also been a place for local nonprofit organizations having events. And in fact, there's an event coming up for an all chamber mixer coming up as an outreach effort. Talk about how Laguna Seca reaches out to the community and supports the community.
Well, yeah, thanks. Again, the calendar for 2024 remains unaffected. John Narigi has got a full calendar of events, and this process has not affected that. So, and therefore, it hasn't affected its economic benefit to the area, which is well documented. Close to $250 million a year of spend outside the fence at Laguna, and really important to our local economy and our community. And that community piece is also important, and that's on our list of to-dos, is to increase that community outreach and engagement as we move forward.
Terrific. And so it's not just for events and for activities, but also Laguna Seca has been there in time of disaster and in time of emergency. Why don't John, I don't know, you're on with us today. If John would like to talk about how Laguna Seca has stepped up this year and helped with the staging of a command post for the disaster response that we had earlier in this winter.
Thanks, Nick. Yes, we were the base for PG&E this past winter when the power outage occurred and knocked out a major portion of this area and a major portion of the county. We also were a fire evacuation site. When was it? 1 or 2 years ago, when the fires broke out on River Road, and most people remember the best community effort we did was during the pandemic when we graduated 9 high schools here and allowed them to have their ceremonies outside because they weren't allowed to hold events inside. Our Cars and Coffee, which is 4 times a year, we now select a nonprofit, and those that arrive make a donation, and we give money to that. We did it for SPCA, the food bank, Monterey County Food Bank. We also regularly have blood drives where people come up for donating of blood. And like Bruce and Ross have said, we plan on expanding our community, our gift back to the community, and making the park a very viable alternative for such events for those that are in Monterey County.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And it's important to have resources like that in a county like ours. And so we're grateful for the cooperation of course, friends and the operators at Laguna Seca. We also have with us Chief of Parks, Bryan Flores. And of course, Bryan, I know you've been working with this gentleman for a number of years. And of course, let's not forget that in addition to a world-class, world-renowned raceway, we also have a tremendous recreation area. I think of it as the jewel of the county park systems. Why don't you talk a little bit about the recreation portion of Laguna Seca?
Sure. Thank you, Nick. First off, I just wanted to thank FLS, Ross, Bruce, Jason. I don't know if he's on, and of course, Mr. Narigi. You guys stuck with it. It was 2016, I think, the first pass at the track, and I'm very thankful and happy to see that we've made this partnership come to fruition. And John, you've done a great job. Had great events last year. Looking forward to another great season this year, and for the cooperation between the 3 entities, A&D, FLS, and the county, of course. And thanks to the county team, this was not an easy lift. It was many individuals. Then of course we had some litigation to work through, and if it could go smooth, it could have gone smoother, most definitely, but it went as smooth as we could, and things were expedited. To use an analogy of the track, we've come down the corkscrew, we bottomed out, we're turning around, coming around turn 10 and heading towards turn 11 for that back straightaway and the home stretch. So looking forward to this partnership and seeing what FLS does with the facility. So as you stated, it is known as the Laguna Seca Recreation Area, of which WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca is part of it. But we also have a public shooting range, a pistol and rifle range, as well as numerous miles of equestrian, hiking, and biking trails, over 400 campsites at the facility, and more during events. We do have the Sea Otter Classic coming up, which is the world's largest multidisciplinary bike race. Draws more people than the Tour de France in some ways, and creates a big investment for the county businesses, mom and pop shops, hospitality, lots of people coming in. And that really is the main reason that that we push so hard for Laguna Seca, because it's not what comes to the county. You know, it's a tough business to be in. The profit margins are small. Nobody's doing this, you know, to get rich, so to speak, but it is that investment into the local businesses and that tax revenue that does come back to the county and the local jurisdictions. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to this, and it's been a great relationship so far, and looking forward to getting these guys in there and having some real capital investments to turn the facility around.
Great. Well, I appreciate that, Bryan, very much. And so at this point, what we'd like to do is we like to offer an opportunity for the media to ask some questions. I would ask that you all mute and raise your hand if you have a question you'd like to ask, or if you're too bashful to ask the question in real time, you can put it in the chat and we will read the question for you. But this is a great opportunity for any of the media that would like to ask questions specifically about Laguna Seca and its future. And I'm recognizing Richard Rosenthal. And you're on mute, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, okay. When does FLS, Friends, anticipate taking operational control of Laguna Seca?
Soon.
So there are some conditions precedent that need to be met by both the county and FLS before full operational effect takes over with the agreement. And we're, you know, working on timelines with FLS right now and getting everything in place. But yeah, like Ross said, soon.
Thank you for that. Any additional questions? Okay, last call. I'm not seeing any in the chat. I'm not seeing any hands raised. Okay, any closing comments from either Bruce or Ross or from Bryan?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, this is an exciting time for Laguna and the entire park and this community. Laguna Seca's never had a horizon of 50 plus years to work with. This is significant. It's exciting. We're happy about it. And this represents a new chapter as we move forward for the next 50 plus years. So thank you.
And we did get a question at the last minute. One of you gentlemen would like to address this. Can you describe briefly the settlement?
So the settlement was a couple of things. One, inserting into the agreement a sound study would be completed by Friends of Laguna Seca, or if Friends of Laguna Seca did not work out and the county went out with the current manager or a new manager, that a sound study would be completed, and then there was some payment of attorney fees for the other side.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Last call. Richard, you have your hand still raised. Did you have another question or follow-up? Nope.
Yeah, let me just follow up on Bryan's summary of the settlement. It's a little bit more than he described. Within 30 days of Friends taking over operational control, they are required to retain an acoustical engineer to undertake a sound study, a very detailed sound study, which is expressed in the settlement agreement. And from that sound study, there will be mitigation measures and feasible mitigation measures outlined. And Friends is obligated to spend up to $2 million for both the sound study and mitigation measures. They have 5 years from the date of taking over through the first term to implement the mitigation measures. It's also the acoustical study will be put into the facility management agreement when that's due within the first year from taking operational control. Like Bryan mentioned, that if for some reason FLS does not take operational control, then the county will be obligated to undertake the sound study and the mitigation measures. The litigation was based primarily on the lack of any sound study and sound analysis over the last 20, 25 years at Laguna Seca. We requested documents and couldn't get any or couldn't find any dealing with a sound study from 2000 on. And the concern by the Highway 68 Coalition Committee was really not the special events that are 5 or 6 during the year, but it's the rental of the track on the weekends with high noise and extremely potentially burdensome impacts to the community. So that's what we're looking forward to in the sound study, is to see what those numbers are and how they can be dealt with.
All right, so we need to move on to our next topic. And so I'd like to thank Ross and Bruce for being here as well, Bryan, and of course, John Narigi. And we're going to move on to our next topic. If anybody in the media has any questions, you can submit those to me via email. I will put my email in the chat and be happy to get back to you with answers. But yeah, I can easily be reached. And if you want any supporting documentation, that is also available to the news media. So next topic today is going to be talking about county parks still in a different type of vein. But Bryan Flores, our chief of parks, is going to be talking about some of the activities that are taking place in our local county parks, including weddings, a dog park opening, and Easter celebrations in the parks. Bryan, welcome and welcome to our briefing again.
Thank you, Nick. So yeah, we have some exciting times. Start off with Easter. Easter is by far the busiest day at Monterey County Parks. Bigger than Mother's Day, bigger than Thanksgiving. Our parks are at capacity to the point where all parking is full. The front gates have to be closed and people have to park outside of the park and walk in. People line up outside the parks on the public roadways, in the right of way, anywhere to 4 a.m. in the morning. We do a nightly patrol. We often kick people out who are trying to camp. Last year we had one individual camping out up in a tree so he could get the best picnic grounds the following morning. One of my rangers last year took some video footage after we opened up the front gates at Toro Park, and it was like Dash for Cash or whatever one of those TV shows are. Everybody was just running. There was people riding bicycles. Everybody's scrambling to get that heritage site if they've been coming out there for multiple generations, or the best site in the shade, etc. So a few things about Easter. Last year we did not allow confetti eggs to be used within the parks. After many, many years of this practice, we've discovered that all the way down to a foot or two of soil, there are pieces of plastic, metallic confetti, things like that. It can be an impact to wildlife. Birds and squirrels and some of the smaller wildlife may ingest that. And we all know about microplastics these days and what an impact they can have on wildlife. It's also considered litter and creates a tremendous amount of mess in the park. And they are fun. I mean, I've thrown them as kids and smashed them on people's heads. But unfortunately, in a public park, it's just not the place. So people are noticed as they're coming in the park. We have signage up. This year, we're going to be a little bit more stricter, give warnings and such, and there could be the possibility of citations being written for littering. There's some other things that we want to make people aware of. Everybody loves to relax in a hammock. We have people hang hammocks from the trees, and That is fine if they're going to be relaxing in the hammock, but oftentimes we'll have 4 or 5 kids or adults sitting in these hammocks with a couple individuals on the end of them, swinging them back and forth. And while it probably doesn't injure the tree bark too much, we are concerned about safety and large tree limbs breaking, falling down, and injuring somebody. So that will not be allowed this year as well. Other than that, you're more than welcome to bring barbecues in. We have people bringing in full kitchen type units. It is a tremendous sight to see. And I can also say that at Toro Park and Royal Oaks, the Easter Bunny will be there. So I will be dressed up in the Easter Bunny costume at Royal Oaks Park, and one of our volunteers will be dressed up as the Easter Bunny at Toro. And then we also do it down at Lake Nacimiento with our managers down there. So a really great time. We will be putting out a press release with some additional rules and safety considerations. If you are going to come to the park for Easter, get there early, get your spot. Parks are going to be open. Our day use parks, which include San Lorenzo, Toro Park, Jack's Peak, Royal Oaks, will be open from 8 in the morning until 6 in the evening. We are anticipating some rain showers throughout the day, so plan accordingly. We also have another exciting thing happening, the first in the Monterey County Parks history. We have a leash-free dog park that will be opening tomorrow at 12 noon at Toro Park. It was done in cooperation, mainly done by one of our local Eagle Scouts, Nathan Pogemeyer, from Troop 60 in Spreckles, contacted us last year, wanted to put a dog park in. We met with him. He did all the planning, all the fundraising, construction. Troop 60 got out there with some volunteers, put a fence around the area. There's nice playground quality wood chips, which are the wood chips you can walk on without any splinters. We did some tree trimming, some drainage work. It's a really nice, it's not huge, but it is a nice area where you could throw a Frisbee or a ball for your dog and let him run off the leash. There's actually even a tree in the dog park because dogs, of course, like trees. We have another Eagle Scout who's working towards a project right now to outfit the dog park with some of the agility and recreational amenities that dogs enjoy in dog parks, little bridges, tunnels, things they can jump over and weave around, things like that. So more to come on the dog park. But we are having our grand opening tomorrow at noon. Monterey County Code requires that if you are bringing your dog to a dog park in the county, that they do have their current rabies vaccinations and those things taken care of. So the next thing for parks, rounding it out, are weddings. Springtime, everybody's getting married. We have a great wedding package, wedding deal at Monterey County Parks. And for $150, excluding the site fee, site fees range anywhere from a couple $100 up to $410 for our most expensive site, which will house about 500 people. So these sites with the wedding package, it's $150 rate. And that package includes a 3-hour rehearsal session Monday through Thursday. So we're not charging you for an additional site rental day. So you're basically saving the cost of an additional day of site rental. So $240 to $410. And then we knock $100 off the 1-day photography permit for your commercial photographer who'll be shooting the wedding. So it's a really great deal. We're also going to be putting together some additional promotional packages. We have some large sites at Toro Park, which is Buckeye and Quail. Each of those hold 410 and 335 people respectively. And then we have the gazebo down at San Lorenzo Park, as well as the Dianza building, which has a covered picnic area, and some of our other historical sites down there at San Lorenzo Park. And then we have a really nice secluded area at Shady Oaks picnic area in Royal Oaks Park, which is our first park put in '67, and great varnished picnic tables, a barbecue. There's a nearby volleyball court, some nice shade underneath the oak trees. So Monterey County parks are very underutilized for weddings. But when we do have them there, people are like, this is, such a phenomenal place to have it. You're outdoors, you can barbecue, you can bring a caterer in, you can have, with certain volume requirements, you can have amplified music and or live band for your wedding. So it is a great deal. I know that some of our other local park agencies and local city jurisdictions, it is quite expensive to have a wedding at one of those public areas. But Monterey County Parks, great deal if you're planning on getting hitched.
Well, that sounds exciting. I mean, three exciting things, Brian. And I was trying to think of what would I be most excited to see, and I think it's you in the Easter Bunny outfit. So looking
I-
forward to that.
And I'm not going to say whether, I can either confirm or deny that Easter Bunny might have pre-filled Easter eggs to hand out to the kids as they come through.
Well, I know, the parks are really looking good. I was out there a few weeks ago hiking in Toro and Toro Park, that is along Highway 68. And, the weather has been cooperative. Things are nice and green. It's going to be a great year for wildflowers and things of that nature. How has your team really worked to prepare for the spring and the summer activities?
It's definitely our busy time of year, especially down at the lakes. Lots of mowing, lots of fuel reduction, vegetation abatement, things like that. At our day use parks, we're wrapping up kind of our project season during the winter, but lots of site preparation. When we have Easter, we use all of our overflow parking lots and we stripe them so we get an exact count of how many people we can let into the park. So staff have been hard at work doing that, mending fences, trimming trees, mowing the turf areas. It's a very busy time, just like it is in nature. Everything's coming back to life, and so are we. But you are right. The wildflowers at Toro Park, at Royal Oaks, at Jack's Peak, they're exploding right now. It's super bloom type of thing going on, and we still have a lot of mushrooms coming up in the parks because of our wet weather. So there's all kinds of neat little things growing up all over the place. Plus we have all of our turkeys. We have the baby turkeys running all over the place, and the big toms fluffing their feathers trying to attract their mates. Lots of deer and fawns. It is a really magnificent time at our county parks. And the lakes, I mean, the lakes are, I think Nassau is at 92% capacity right now. San Antonio Lake is in the high 80s. You could camp at North Shore during the week. Nobody's there. You have the entire facility to yourself. We've had recent trout plantings at San Antonio Lake. Fishing is great right now. The bass are getting fired up. People are catching catfish and crappie, and people are still catching trout. So really great time to be out at our Monterey County parks.
That's great. And, I think one of the things that's important to note is that the day use parks, it's pretty reasonable for our residents and visitors, right? It's free admission to
free.
those. Yeah.
Not many things in life these days are free. But Monterey County Parks is one of those. So it is, the Board of Supervisors approved that, and they've been pushing for it for a number of years, and we were able to work our budget magic, and we're able to offer free entrance into our Monterey County Parks 7 days a week, open to close. You can drive into the park, go hiking, enjoy a picnic without any fee. And people shouldn't have to pay to come into the parks, to reserve a site. So you do have a site when you get there. There is a fee for that or any type of special events, but daily admittance, free of charge.
Yeah. What a great resource for our community. Well, thank you, Brian. I appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions for Brian specific to county parks and the weddings or dog park opening tomorrow at noon or Easter? Any questions for Brian?
And one thing I did forget to mention with the dog park opening, Supervisor Adams is planning to be there at the event, as well as our Eagle Scout and his family and many scouts from around the area. So it should be a really great time.
Yeah, what a great opportunity for an Eagle Scout to get involved with a project like that too. I mean, it's just phenomenal for young people what a shining example of how young people can get involved in their community.
Yeah, most definitely. We really value our relationships with both Boy Scouts of America, Girl Scouts, Brownie troops, local schools. We do fee waivers a lot of times for these organizations to come in and use the facility, and in turn they do a lot of volunteer service. We have numerous benches, and we're getting ready to make some owl habitat boxes as well as bat boxes with some of our groups. They do all kinds of great projects, and it's just a really nice relationship that we have with our local service organizations and clubs.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Bryan, for being here. And if you want to stick around in case there's some questions that roll in after the next topic, we appreciate that.
Most
All right,
definitely.
so next up, we have Heather Woods with the County of Monterey Information and Technology Department, and she is a project manager and has been heading up a very important project for the County of Monterey, and specifically with regard to how to access the county through the internet. So Heather, welcome to the Wednesday briefing, and why don't you give us some background information about what you've been up to?
Thanks, Nick. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here today and to share with you the great work that the ITD team has been doing to have a significant upgrade to our online presence. We will be transitioning from our current domain name, which is co.monterey.ca.us, to countyofmonterey.gov. The reason for this is really to focus on improving our cybersecurity. So .gov domains are only available to government agencies. They're actually now mandated by Bill AB 1637. It was signed into law by the California governor on October the 8th, 2023. And excited to say that the County of Monterey is an early adopter. It's not due until 2029, but we were ready to go. We had already secured that County of Monterey domain name, and we will be putting it into place on April the 12th. So this is really a significant step into helping secure data for our constituents as well as our employees, and also ensuring that people know that they're truly accessing a safe government site. And I'll be happy to put the domain names in the chat. It's probably easier to do it that way. I'll repeat it as well. It's the old one is .co.monterey.ca.us, which is a mouthful. And the new one is simply countyofmonterey.gov. So it also simplifies things, hopefully, for people.
Great, and I put that in the chat. I know Dennis Taylor had asked for it. I put it the new URL in the chat. So, in addition to, obviously, regulatory or law for changing it, it also is going to make it more accessible or understandable for residents, which is most important because the old URL is a mouthful, as you indicated. But can you talk more about why this is, why it makes it easier for people, why, the memory factor and things of that nature, and the credibility factor with having the .gov?
Yeah, absolutely. So, especially in today's day and age, when unfortunately cybersecurity and cyber fraud is becoming more and more of an issue, it's really important that we do everything we can as a county to protect our constituents, our businesses who do business with us from hacking. And only government agencies are able to have .gov domains. So this bill was actually sponsored by CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. The county had to actually apply to get that domain name. And so when constituents see that it's a .gov, they will know that they're actually truly reaching a government agency. And you'll notice even California already has a .gov domain. And if you go to federal websites, you'll also notice that they're already .gov domains. So you can really be sure that when you're accessing forms, whether it be for, social services or the health departments, that you're truly accessing a credible website. So I think it's a great step in the right direction. And also just for, our visitors, that they know that they're, truly getting the right County of Monterey, right? So, I know I'm a fairly new employee to the county, and Even remembering my email address was a challenge. So I'm personally very happy about the change just from that aspect as well.
Yeah, and do you mind mentioning that specific bill that you referenced the domain change to the state bill so that our friends in
Yes.
the media can get that?
Yes, it's Bill AB-1637, and it's called Local Government Internet Websites and Email Addresses.
I think another benefit, of course, it's not just the URL changing, all of our email addresses will change and things of that nature, but there'll be no disruption in the service that people receive, which is an important point to make, right, Heather?
That is very important point to make. We wanted to ensure, our main goal in IT is to make sure that you don't even know we're there. We want things to run smoothly. And so the transition will occur during business hours on April the 12th. We'll be doing redirects of the current domain to the new domain. There shouldn't be any system downtime, knock on wood, of course. And the old domains will continue to work for quite some time and just do a redirect. So it'll be very seamless for constituents and other users of the county website.
Great. And then, of course, anybody who has any county documentation or things of that nature that have the QR codes, such as the one right behind me, and those QR codes will still work during this whole transition period as well, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things obviously we'll be doing over the next couple of months is transitioning all departments to make that change on things like business cards, any type of flyers or information, brochures, whatnot, that the county produces, as well as letterhead and whatnot. So that's going to be over the course of the next couple of months. But your transition is slated to take place around April 17th. Am I correct?
Yes, it'll be Friday, April the 12th we'll start. So when people come into the office that following Monday, it should all be there and ready to go.
Great. Any questions about this important change? And I can't emphasize how important this is to get out to the community so they can access us quickly. And also it's important to reemphasize that the www is no longer needed. So it makes it even that much easier, doesn't it, Heather?
It does, yeah.
All right, great. Thanks, Heather, for being with us today. Any questions for Heather about this change? All right. I had put my email address in the chat if anybody has any questions that they'd like to have answered after this briefing. This briefing was recorded and it will be edited in the next couple of hours and posted onto our YouTube page as well as our Facebook page. And if anybody would like us to send a direct link, please email me directly. Thank you for attending our Wednesday briefing. We'll be back next Wednesday with a number of topics that are important to our county and our region. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day and have a great Easter.